What is up, everybody? I hope you're having a great day. I am super excited about today's brew. I was looking at some vintage lists just one day and remembered that Paradoxical Outcome is a card that exists. And then I thought, wait a second. Paradoxical Outcome is just a super crazy version of This Town Ain't Big Enough. It can return everything that we've played. And so that got me thinking Cryogen Relic has been sitting in the back of my head for this deck for a while. I just could never find a way to actually get it into the list over Flow State. But Paradoxical Outcome changes this equation quite a bit. With Cryogen Relic, it gives us another cheap non-creature spell that triggers Vivi, gets its cost reduced by Gran-Gran, and that we can return with Paradoxical Outcome or Boomerang Basics. It can technically slow our opponents down a little bit by the ability to sacrifice it, but that's a last ditch effort to stay alive move. We really want to be bouncing this to our hand with our Boomerang Basics, our This Town Ain't Big Enough, or our Paradoxical Outcomes. And we can play multiple of these. They're not legendary. We just draw a ton of cards in the late game with the combination of Cryogen Relic and Paradoxical Outcome. This card also plays great with Storm Chaser's talent. We can have any number of these and they turn into a card with Paradoxical Outcome. We can return our Springleaf Drums, our Mox Ambers. This card has been insane in testing. With Gran-Gran turned on, it's only 3 mana as well. You always have 3 mana when we have Vivi out. And for those of you who are just seeing this deck for the first time, remember this is a Vivi combo deck, first and foremost. We want to be casting this once we already have a Vivi on the battlefield. That's why we're running 4 of these. And just when, we need to just get into the matches. Paradoxical Outcome has been insane in the testing. Everything else is pretty close to the same. 4 Mox Ambers, 4 Boomerang Basics, 4 Gran-Gran, 4 Storm Chaser's Talent, 3 Springleaf Drums. This is where we were on last time. Our lessons package is Accumulate Wisdom, Abandon Attachments, and Boomerang Basics. Cryogen Relic replaced the Flow State. We have Vivi. Vivi's our main win condition. We technically can win with attacking by otters, but Vivi's the main way we win. And then just Paradoxical Outcome and This Town Ain't Big Enough to combo with. Here's the mana base. Sideboard is pretty similar. My sideboarding philosophy with this deck right now is we're only ever bringing in 3 cards. And so we're just running 3 of a bunch of pretty powerful sideboard cards against the various... Oh, this reminds... Let's put in Alpine Moon before we get started here. I've been seeing a ton of Lotus Field on the ladder. We can cut the Pyroclasms. Sorry, bring in... All right, let's run it like that. Sorry. Wish this was a... Oh, and that turns our Verges on. Looks like we are against Niv to Light in this first match, and they do have the Sylvan Caryatid. All right, we draw Cryogen Relic. Let's just attack with Gran-Gran here, see what we draw. All right, another land, so we're definitely discarding a land here. All right, they block the Gran-Gran, that's fine. Let's go Verge, and let's start getting down permanents. Let's just play this Cryogen Relic. This gives us something to return with this town. All right, Paradoxical Outcome's a nice find here. Trying to... All right, opponent has a Professor Delianfell. Let's see if they destroy the Gran-Gran here. They do destroy Gran-Gran. That's good for us because we can now follow up with a Vivi. So we can follow up with Vivi. Alternatively, we can Gran-Gran plus Accumulate Wisdom. I'm going to go with that. We want... I think we want a little bit more before we play Vivi. This deck just plays a ton of removal, and so the odds that Vivi lives an entire turn cycle is a little small. All right, opponent looks like they're... All right, they go with a Vanishing Verse. Let's go ahead and just take the 3-for-1 here. Save our Gran-Gran. We're not under any pressure, so we can take our time to go for the combo here. Oh, a Springleaf Drum is perfect. All right, so let's go Steam Vents untapped. Let's replay Gran-Gran. Play Springleaf Drum. And then let's make a blue, tap the Gran-Gran, see what we draw here. All right, we find a Mox Amber. That's really good. We can discard... Let's discard... Okay, so we have 3 mana after this. We can play Cryogen Relic, play Mox Amber, play Accumulate Wisdom. So yeah, let's play Cryogen Relic. The odds we find another land are pretty high. And let's go Mamber plus Accumulate Wisdom. Take another Accumulate Wisdom or another Mox Amber. Let's take... Or land. All good options here. Let me know what you would take. I think we're going to go with... Let's go with the Accumulate Wisdom. That was close. Getting another Vivi trigger is nice. We're fine with pretty much... Okay, so they gain 3 life. They're trying to power towards the ultimate. Let's see if they have a Niv this turn. We almost want them to tap out. All right, just to... Wow. They're very scared of this Gran-Gran. All right, so we draw a Vivi. We can cast this Vivi, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3 mana left over, so not enough mana to Paradoxical Outcome. And Delian is able to destroy our Vivi, so... We could outcome return 1, 2, 3. That's a little risky. I think we have to play a Vivi here. And hope to high roll a little bit. We want to try to find a Boomerang Basics off of this. If we find a Boomerang Basics, we're in a great spot. We do not. We have 2 mana left. Let's take Abandon Attachments. Let's cast Abandon Attachments, discard this Springleaf Drum. Okay, we find a land. We can play this land, and then we pass. They're going to minus Delian on our VV, so we do need to find another VV eventually. But we might fire off a Paradoxical Outcome this next turn just as a card advantage. Paradoxical Outcome. We can play Cryogen Relic and then draw 4. All right, and they just put Yorion into hand. That's not a very scary turn from them. Yeah, so let's play land. Let's play Cryogen Relic. Draw a card. Okay, so we find a Boomerang Basics. So here we go down to 2 cards, and then we would have to discard to hand size. So let's just cast a Boomerang Basics. Notably, this... All right, they're going to Leyline Binding. Again, we're totally fine with this. Yeah, we will just crack this for a card. Fizzle the Leyline Binding. Finding a Storm Chasers here is nice. Play the Storm Chasers. All right, they go with an Omnath. Yeah, we really just need to find a VV here, and we're in great shape. All right, so they actually have a very powerful turn here. They can go Fabled Passage, play Yorion, bounce. So play Yorion, draw a card, bounce everything. All right, they Lightning Helix Otter. That's totally fine. And now they play Yorion. Draw a card, lose a life. All right, this is the turn that we need to draw. Just a VV off the top wins this game. Let's see a VV off the top. All right, they get a Leyline Binding back. They can go after whatever they want. We don't care that much. We don't find the VV. Let's see if we find it. Wow, still no VV, wow. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in a row, no land. So we are just setting up for next turn now. So we can go. We need to play 2 cards out here. We have the second paradoxical outcome. We do have Gran-Gran turned on. Let's try and find a VV. Make a blue here. It's not a VV. All right, let's discard. Actually a tough choice on what to discard here. Let's discard Abandon Attachments. That's really close. Let me know what you would have discarded there. All right, let's float a blue, return Mox Amber. If we find VV, we just get to go crazy. All right, play Verge. Play Cryogen Relic. Draw another card. Still no VV. All right, now let's go. So we could go Mox Amber, Storm Chasers, Storm Chasers. And just set up for. We could leave. No, we don't need to leave Cryogen Relic up. All right, play another Otter and pass the turn. We need to dodge a random Culling Ritual. Haven't seen that out of this deck in quite a while since the Corey Steelcutter ban. All right, they destroy Gran-Gran. We knew that was going to happen. That's fine. We're taking 8 here. So we do need to top deck this turn, but we have just a ton of draws. And we're again on the just find VV plan. We're 28 cards in, and we've only seen 1 VV, so statistically we should be seeing another one very soon. Opponent is just cycling a bunch of lands, so that no blocks. We'll take 8. All right, opponent passes. All right, we find a VV. That's big. So let's go. So let's think of their removal. This is an instant, right? So we can save VV. All right, so we play VV. Float a blue. They almost certainly have something that can remove this, like a Lightning Helix. So let's tap our VV before they have a chance to do anything. We're going to cast this Mox Amber because this will force them to cast a Lightning Helix if they have it, and then we can respond with... Oh, they have a Leyline Binding. Okay. So we will cast Paradoxical Outcome, return all of this to our hand. All right, they have another removal spell. So we need to find another Vivi, which odds are pretty likely. We're drawing a lot of cards here. See if we can fight through double removal spell. Do they have a Dovin's Veto? They're thinking about casting it. They have the mana for it. They're just... Okay, removal spell on Otter plus destroy Springleaf Drum. That's fine. All right. Oh boy, no Vivi. They get to exile our last Otter. All right. We have another Mox Amber. Was really hoping to find another Vivi off of that. Let's play Gran-Gran, make our make our stuff cheaper. And let's cast Cryogen Relic first. If we draw Vivi off this, it's really good. Okay, no Vivi. Man, kind of a brutal. All right, so we find another Vivi, but we can't cast it this turn. How do we not die? We go this town, return Mox Amber plus Omnath. And then we play Mox Amber. Should have returned Yorion. All right, both our this towns are gone. All right. We will pass, discard Spire Bluff Canal. All right, well, we've battled through a lot. We'll see how much removal they have on our next turn. An opponent just concedes. What in the world? I don't know about that concession there, but we'll take it. All right, against 5-color Nibtolite, I think we're pretty favored in this matchup. As we saw there, we fought through a ton of removal and we're still one turn away from winning. Spell Pierces are probably good. Broadside Barrage, unnecessary, I think. Let's bring in some Spell Pierces. We can go down. Usually in these grindy matchups, I'm okay with trimming like one Mox Amber, one Springleaf Drum. Let's go like that. Down one Mox Amber, one Springleaf Drum. My thought process with that is these are super grindy matchups, and the mana cards are mostly for the combo turn, but we can lose if we draw too many of it. Opponent concedes the entire match. Probably not going to be kicking you. All right, we are on the play here with a no lander, so we're going to mulligan. This hand is not great, but it's a 6, so we're keeping it on 6. Opponent is reading Gran-Gran. Looks like it's Scape Shift from our opponent. Yep, Temple of Mystery. All right, so we're a combo deck. Opponent is a combo deck. We're racing. Let's go ahead and attack, see what we find. Second Gran-Gran, they don't have removal for Gran-Gran, so we can discard second one. And let's go Steam Vents untapped. Our life total doesn't matter here. We just need to find Vivi and more action as fast as possible. Another land off the top is not what we were looking for there. Like how it always goes in this matchup, we're looking to dodge untap effect as long as we can. We currently don't have an answer for Spelunking or Minstrel. They have a Sylvan Scrying, so they can go and get their Lotus Field here. They play Lotus Field, sack these 2 lands, and pass. We draw another land. So we'll attack. All right, Paradoxical Outcome eventually can do something. It doesn't matter what we discard here. Just one of these lands. All right, opponent blocks. Second main, we will just play Storm Chaser's Talent and this Spire Bluff Canal. Yeah, we need a Boomerang Basics would be the best draw for us here probably. I don't want to Paradoxical Outcome just returning 2 cards. Looking to dodge Spelunking this turn from our opponent. We're probably going to need minimum 2 more turns in order to win this match, so they're hovering over Storm Chasers. Does that mean they have a Boseiju potentially? We'll see. Opponent seems a little bit new to their deck. Usually the Scapeshift opponents are really fast in just slamming their lines down. Oh no, this is another land fetch getting a, what's it called? Thespian Stage. So get Thespian Stage. Play Thespian Stage. They don't have the mana to copy it this turn. Okay, so they just go with a Triome, waiting until next turn. I wonder if this might be the Stirrings version of the list. All right, we draw on Abandon Attachments. We can attack first. Let's attack first, see what we draw. All right, another Storm Chasers. We're going to keep that. Let's discard this Steam Vents. Go to blocks. And second main, we will just play this Storm Chasers. A little bit awkward here. Yeah, actually very awkward. Should have thought about this turn a little bit more. Let's just go land, pass. Or, no, we need to... We're pretty slow. We need to high roll here. Let's just play Abandon Attachments. Discard this land. We don't find another one. All right, so punished for that a little bit. We find 1 Accumulate Wisdom. We really need 1 more lesson. All right, so they have an untap effect, so they can go copy Lotus Field. Let's see if they have the Stirrings to go with it. We could just be dead this turn. Yep, so they copy the Lotus Field. They have the hidden Stirrings. Yep, looks like we're just dead this turn, so probably didn't matter that we didn't find the land to play there. Opponent has Pour Over the Pages. I think any 1 more untap effect and we're pretty dead. Emergent Ultimatum, good game. All right, we ran super clunky there. Really glad we put these Alpine Moons in before we started. Like I said, I've just been seeing a ton of these decks. All right, against this combo deck, we can trim some of our slower win cons. Maybe go down 1, this town ain't big enough, 1 Paradoxical Outcome. and maybe trim one Mox Amber, one Abandon Attachments. Let's go down one Mox Amber. Alpine Moon's super good in this matchup. I just FYI, if any of you guys are playing Arena, I've been running into a ton of Lotus Field combo decks between this deck and... okay, sorry, we can't play Gran-Gran turn 1. All right, this hand is a lot better. Between this deck and the Sultai or Simic Scapeshift decks, I've just been seeing Lotus Field all over the place. So I think 3 Alpine Moons in any deck that can play it is probably where you want to be at. All right, we actually are finding lessons this game. Let's attack with Gran-Gran first, see if we're going to be able to turn this Verge on. Looking like it's going to be harder to get this Verge turned on. So because of that, let's discard 1 Accumulate Wisdom to start getting the lesson count up. So we go Verge here, play this Cryogen Relic, and all right, we find Vivi. That's huge. We really just want any free mana now. A Mox Amber off the top goes crazy. All right, opponent has a untapped land. They have a Vibrance to get their Lotus Field. Also just looking for an Alpine Moon here. Alpine Moon to turn off these. So they have the Lotus Field already. They get a Thespian Stage. All right, we don't find a land. Let's Boomerang Basics this Cryogen Relic. Really hoping to find a land here. All right, we find another Verge. Don't love that. We find a Shivan Reef. So that is another blue, even though it's a little bit painful. Let's attack. See what we draw. All right, we find a Steam Vents. We can discard this Shivan Reef now. Number 1, play this Steam Vents untapped and get Cryogen Relic down, I think. Yeah. Let's get Cryogen Relic down. Oh, and we find an Alpine Moon for next turn. That's big. Hopefully they play Lotus Field this turn, so they sacrifice their 2 lands, and then we follow it up with an Alpine Moon. Opponent is reading Cryogen Relic. Don't worry, opponent. You don't need to destroy any of these. Just play your Lotus Field, pass the turn. Nothing bad will happen, I promise. All right, let's go. They play Lotus Field. They're going to pass. We're going to play Alpine Moon, and they're probably going to pack it in. So this turn we can... So we play Vivi. I think like usual, all good turns start with a Vivi. All right, so play Vivi, Ornithir. Let's go Boomerang Basics on this Cryogen Relic. Draw 2. If we find any free mana, we get to go kind of crazy here. We don't. We just find a bunch of lands. Gran-Gran is turned on. Let's attack. Any free mana? No free mana still, so discard this Shivan Reef. Go to damage here. Just make a red. Cast this Alpine Moon on Lotus Field and pass the turn. All right, opponent does have a Rainbow land. We have an Alpine Moon. They are reading Alpine Moon again. And we should win the game next turn if we get to untap. We would have to hit probably 10 lands in a row to not win next turn. All right, they play a Triome. Oh, and this outcome. All right, so we get to go pretty crazy this turn. Let's start off with an Accumulate Wisdom. As all good turns do, we start with a 1 mana draw 3. All right, we play a Mox Amber. Let's do another 1 mana draw 3. We are likely going to play our entire deck this turn. Let's play a Springleaf Drum. This is another free spell. All right, tap this Gran-Gran. I love this synergy. All right, just discard a land here. Go Cryogen Relic, draw a card. Cryogen Relic, draw a card. Storm Chaser's Talent. And opponent concedes. Oh yeah, they were just dead to the attack. Oh man, we could have drawn, what, like 15 cards off of Paradoxical Outcome there. All right, they know we're on the Alpine Moons. We're not bringing them out. Are we making any changes in game 3? I don't believe so. Let's just click submit, hoping for an Alpine Moon plus another fast hand. Looks like they are potentially bringing in some removal now that they see that we're a VV combo deck. This is really just a drag race. If you played Modern back in 2017, 2018, that's kind of what this matchup feels like, where we're just two combo decks that can't interact super well with each other and just trying to go fast. This is a pretty good hand. Would love to see a Alpine Moon to make this hand even better. But having turn 1 Gran-Gran plus a Boomerang Basics and a spell to return and a VV, that's where we want to be. All right, 4th land. Not super excited to see that. We can start looting these away with Gran-Gran. They just have another tap land. All right, we draw a Springleaf Drum. That's a nice find here. So we can go Storm Chasers. Get this Springleaf Drum down. Tap Gran-Gran to the Springleaf Drum to make a blue. Likely discarding a land here. Definitely discarding a land here. And then let's return the Storm Chasers. Draw a card. We find another Gran-Gran. That's... I don't love that. We really need any card draw this next turn. We have potentially 2 looks next turn if we want to Legend Rule our Gran-Grans. All right, they play a Thespian Stage. A lot less threatening with no Lotus Field out. We have to assume that they have the Lotus Field in hand or a way to get it. They just hard cast a Vizier. What does that mean? Okay, we find an Alpine Moon. I think our turn here is just VV cast Alpine Moon. VV cast Alpine Moon, cast Storm Chaser's Talent. It forces them to have not just an answer to Alpine Moon, but also to VV. Find another land. Okay. And yep, so cast the Alpine Moon. We're going to name Lotus Field again. Or actually, this is... No, because the stage becomes a copy of Lotus Field. So even though they get to play the Lotus Field without sacking any lands here, that's fine. All right, cast a Storm Chasers, get another VV trigger. This is 3 power now, so we actually can attack. And we have a decent setup here. We'll see what they have to answer what we've played this turn. Boseiju on Alpine Moon is pretty good for them here. They'd have to have a lot to kill VV and kill this Alpine Moon. Have to have... Let's see, our VV dodges Vibrance. Not sure what other removal they could be playing. I'm sure they have some number of bounce spells, like Unsubstantiates or something. They need to make a decision soon. All right, they go with a Sylvan Scrying. They tap the Thespian Stage. Okay, they get a Boseiju. So they have an answer to the Alpine Moon, it looks like, but not an answer to the VV. All right, they untap Balaged Sanctuary, and they're going to Alpine Moon, or Bosejuar Alpine Moon. Looks like they're going to get a Lotus Field here, play the Lotus Field, and then Boseiju the Alpine Moon. Don't love that we let them do that, but... All right. They don't have a legendary creature. So we do... Oh, man, and they have a Fatal Push. Wow. Very strong turn from them. So we have 4 mana this turn. We draw the second Alpine Moon. So we play land. We level up Storm Chaser's talent. We get Boomerang basics. We Boomerang basics Springleaf Drum. Yeah, but then we can't play the Alpine Moon again. So we just have to take... So we just have to take the slower line of make a red, tap Gran-Gran, likely discarding this second Gran-Gran. Oh, we find a Boomerang basics. Okay. We actually don't have any card draw, so that doesn't change much here. But we can return the Storm Chaser's talent. Let's draw a card, keep working towards 3 lessons. Oh, man, just another Gran-Gran. Okay. Replay Storm Chasers, make another Otter, and Alpine Moon on Lotus Field. And get in for 8. All right, not a... I don't love where we're at. They have an answer to 1 Alpine Moon. They do have to tap 2 lands to answer our 1 Alpine Moon, though. Gives us an extra land so we can have a stronger next turn. We are likely presenting lethal next turn. I wish there was a judge. Does this... I'm not sure if this affects lands in their hand. It says lands your opponents control, so I don't think that this targets... Or, not targets, but I don't think this affects the Boseiju that's in their hand, so we couldn't have named that. They play this Formidable Speaker here. Let's see what creature they get. Okay, they get another Vibrance, so this can get a second Boseiju for next turn. All right, so they get another Boseiju. They have 1 blocker. Oh, no, they get another Lotus Field. Okay, so they get another Lotus Field. All right, Accumulated Wisdom is a nice draw here. Let's tap Gran-Gran, see if we can luck into a lesson. We do not. We will discard Gran-Gran. Okay, so now we can get back Boomerang. Nah, let's play Vivi, cast Accumulate Wisdom. Yeah, we need to cast 6 spells. Unlikely that we can do that this turn. So let's cast Vivi, cast this Accumulate Wisdom. Notably, our Gran-Gran is turned on now. All right, we find another Accumulate Wisdom. That was probably the best thing we could have found. Add a blue here, play this Accumulate Wisdom, see what we find. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Let's go. We find another Accumulate Wisdom. I think our opponent is... And our opponent's dead. Let's go. Nice. Oh, man, we drew the 0 mana. Okay. Wow, what a crazy match. Oh, man, this deck is so awesome. I've been having so much fun with this one. All right, we have Mox Amber, Abandoned Attachments, Vivi, Paradoxical Outcome. Let's keep. Would love to find a like Gran-Gran makes this hand go super crazy, but even without a Gran-Gran, we're still looking good. Opponent is on a mulligan to 5 here, and a Pillar Verge pathway into Thraben Inspector, so probably some kind of Boros Prowess list. Let's get this Steam Vents, into play tapped and just pass. See how good of a turn 2 our opponent has. These decks can be super fast, but on a mulligan to 5, hard to imagine that they have too strong of a start. These decks tend to need a high density of cards, and they don't mulligan super well. Our plan here, we'll see what we draw for turn. All right, opponent is deep in the tank. Not sure what there is to be deep in the tank about. All right, looks like they're back. They play Sacred Foundry untapped. All right, do they have the 1-drop that lets them scry? They do not. All right, we find another paradoxical outcome. Go away. All right, so we can abandon. We're going to abandon attachments this turn. Probably discarding second paradoxical outcome. All right, opponent has a Gleeful Demolition. Let's see if they have the Convoke creature to go with it. Yeah, looks like they do. They're convoking. All right, they find a Knight Errant of Eos. So what they get off of this, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 power on the board. So we potentially have 2 more turns. All right, they get a Thalia and a Loxodon. And yeah, let's discard 1 paradoxical outcome. 1 is likely enough to win the game. All right. Play Vivi and start to go crazy. Play Moxamber. Return Moxamber to hand with Boomerang Basics. Trigger Vivi. Play Moxamber. Let's tap Moxamber, cast Springleaf Drum. And okay, so we tap Vivi, we have 5 mana. A little bit risky here. But yeah, we're going to tap Vivi and then make 5 blue, return Moxamber, return Springleaf Drum. All right, draw 2. Wow, we're getting a little Vivi flooded here. Replay Moxamber and yeah, fire off this Accumulate Wisdom. This makes any future Accumulate Wisdoms. All right, that was not what we wanted there. Now any future Accumulate Wisdoms are draw 3s. All right, opponent is playing Thalia and then attacking for a lot. Do they have the Convoke removal spell? That's the worst for us here. Loxodon's fine. I think this means we're dead next turn. Yes. All right, nice. We find an Accumulate Wisdom. This one needs to hit. That's the TLDR. Man, I like playing these for 1 mana, not 3. All right, tap our Moxamber here. Cast this Accumulate Wisdom. All right. We can cast Storm Chaser's Talent. It actually is -1 mana, though. Yeah, a lot worse with this Thalia on the battlefield. So we cast Storm Chaser's Talent. We get Boomerang Basics. So we play this. VV goes to 9. We make 9 mana. We get Boomerang Basics. Alternatively, so we play Springleaf Drum. Springleaf Drum is even on mana. And then we Storm Chasers. All right. Cast Springleaf Drum. Trigger VV. This doesn't matter. Okay. Oh, actually, let's undo that. Because they're... Oh, sorry. We can just... Oh, all right. We have lethal. Cast this. Make an otter. Level up. Sorry. All right. We found the line. Get Boomerang Basics. Boomerang Basics, the Venerated Loxodon, attack with VV. All right. We found the line. Woo! Almost tapped our VV there. That was close. All right. Against Boros Convoke with Thalia main deck, a little bit punished. We did cut our Pyroclasms before this match. Let's bring in a Braids, and we can go down some of the really slow cards in this matchup. Just a Braids for Thalia, and then everything else we're just going to hope that we can overpower with our combo. Biggest thing we're looking to dodge is Thalia. The rest of their deck, it's just a race between can we combo before they can attack us. And I think with an average draw, we're faster than they are. We can pretty consistently win on turn 3 or turn 4. All right, this hand... Let me know if you would keep this. I'm going to click the keep button. Gran-Gran can likely attack turn 2 in this matchup. And all right, nice. We find the land, so this hand is really good now. Potentially discarding Paradoxical Outcome to abandon attachments again. All right, what's their turn 2 look like? All right, they have the Gleeful Demolition. Do they have another 1-drop to go with a Convoke creature? Yikes. Okay, this is a very fast start from them. All right, with this fast of a start, Gran-Gran can't attack this turn notably. Wow. Let's just get a chump blocker on the battlefield, get 1 lesson into the graveyard. All right, find and accumulate wisdom. That is going to be a part of winning this game. We are taking 12 this turn. Wow. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 12. This is about as fast as their deck can go. Okay. I think we're dead. Let's play a land. Yeah, we needed a VV right now. We can go abandon attachments, discard, accumulate wisdom, turn on Gran-Gran, but we don't find anything. Yep, good game. All right. Game 3 on the play. Just as I was saying that we are faster than their deck usually, they go ahead and show us one of the most nuts starts that their deck can have. Very, very cool to see Boros Convoke doing well. I have a mono white list that I've been wanting to play. I think they're close. I don't like how much or how vulnerable they are to just like removal spell on some of the first creatures. This hand is pretty slow, but I think this hand is too slow. We're doing nothing on turn 1. Turn 2, we play Cryogen Relic. Turn 3, we bounce Cryogen Relic. Maybe. That's potentially better than an average 6. We have double lessons. So we're just a top-decked Gran-Gran or Vivi away from like going super crazy. All right, they have a Voldarin Epicure. We find a Storm Chasers. Let's just play this Cryogen Relic. This is higher upside. Next turn we get to draw 2 off of it. And I don't think we value a single Otter too much in this matchup. Hoping to... Alright, they just have a Thalia. That's way more beatable than what they had last game. Just a Thalia and pass. Okay. I like where we're at a lot more than just being dead. So this turn... a little bit awkward. I want to be mana efficient. We have a bunch of 2-drops. Let's just cast this Accumulate Wisdom on their turn. Use all of our mana into this Thalia. Alright, when this enters, look at your opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it. Alright, that is annoying. Alright, that resolves. We'll see what this... Probably taking the Boomerang basics here. On the backside at the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on each creature that attacked this turn. Oh, wow. This was really, really strong from them. So they're going to flip this. Be able to give Thalia indestructible. Wow, we might be getting... Oh, they decide to leave the invasion alive. Very... I'm not sure I understand that. Just take another Accumulate Wisdom here. We're starting to flood a little bit. Yeah, not sure why they didn't kill this invasion. Play the land they know about. And yeah, this Thalia is really annoying. Let's go Storm Chaser's talent. Storm Chaser's talent. Empty the hand out a little bit. We do have a lot of card draw with this Boomerang basics on Cryogen Relic. Yeah, next turn, we'll use this to draw 2 and have 1 mana left over. See if they play anything pre-combat here. Alright, they just double attack the invasion. So we could double chump to leave it alive. They can just have this. They have this Light Shield Array, which they can sacrifice to give their creatures hexproof and indestructible. So that does protect against... or does protect Thalia against a Braid. Alright, they're thinking about something. They have... Alright, and they just get the counters. Alright, let's draw 2 cards here. Get a second lesson for this Accumulate Wisdom. Alright, this resolves. Would have been a huge disaster if they had a way to kill the Cryogen Relic. Well, we do find the Abrade, but they now have a way to protect the Thalia. Let's go tapped Steam Vents. We're not blocking, so get in for 4. Ooh, they have a Soken's on. Does this cost? No. No mana to sacrifice this. Alright, we might be losing to Thalia here. Yeah, we're dead next turn. They have a Novice Inspector. And a Warden of the Inner Sky. They can tap those three to scry 1. And they go bottom. Alright, they put a land to the bottom. Alright, we find a Gran-Gran. That's good here. Play Shivan Reef. Okay, so we play Vivi. Okay, so we play... Sorry, we need to think about this for a second. We play Vivi. We have 3 mana left. We cannot cast Gran-Gran plus leave up a Braid. So I think we just have to play Vivi here and go on blocking duty. We can abrade Thalia on their turn. They sacrifice this to give it indestructible. But then we should get to untap with a Vivi then. And Gran-Gran will cancel out the Thalia attacks. All right. Pass the turn. No attacks. What are they doing here? Okay, they're sacrificing this clue to draw a card. Need a dodge or removal spell on Vivi here is just game. Let's see what they have. That's a Goblin Bushwhacker effect is strong. That gives it haste too. Does that kill us? Block, 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 3, 5, 8, 11. Good game, brutal. All right. All right, this hand is solid. We need one of our creatures. Need a Gran-Gran, need a Vivi to go with this. All right. Never seen this card before. Very cool, though. Just a sorcery that ramps. A pretty slow rampant growth. All right, need to find a land at some point. Let's play this Cryogen Relic. This gives us the most draws next turn if we return it to our hand with Boomerang Basics. All right, and we just find the land. That's nice. Get in with Otter here. Opponent's gonna... Wow, kind of crazy that you can do this at instant speed. Sorry, I didn't play much during that. All right, that they can name whatever they want with this. Name our Shivan Reef so we can tap it without hurting ourselves, please. I wonder, is this... No. This doesn't turn off Lotus Field. I don't... Soken's on. Yeah, you got it. We are playing no copies of Soken's on. All right, our opponent casts a Migration Path. We need to do something. I'm a little scared to run out our Vivi, but I'm not sure we have many other options here. Not sure what their payoff is. We'll see if this Vivi dies. If Vivi lives, we probably just win next turn. But our opponent has done a lot of ramping. All right, they play a Candy Trail. They scry 2. They go 1 top, 1 bottom. That does not... That's not good. All right, they draw what's on the top. They play a land for 4 mana. Is this another ramp spell? All right, another Sammy's Curiosity, so another ramp spell. Curious what they put on top. I figured that would have been an answer to Vivi. All right, and we get to untap with Vivi Orniteer and an Otter. let's start by returning Cryogen Relic, draw 2. Our opponent does not have a removal spell for it. Another VV is not what we were looking for. All right. We have 2 lessons, notably 1 short from 3 lessons. This is a sit up in the chair kind of turn. Let's play Gran-Gran. Play Springleaf Drum. It's free with the Gran-Gran on the battlefield. Trigger VV. Tap Gran-Gran. If we find a lesson here, it's crazy. All right, 3rd paradoxical outcome we can discard. All right, looks like we have fizzled a little bit. Let's go abandon attachments, discard 2nd copy of VV. All right, we find a Storm Chasers and another abandon attachment. Let's just play both of those and see what our opponent's payoff is. All right, play this Cryogen Relic. Yeah, we wanted one more free spell that turn. Just a land. Get in for 11. Put our opponent to 8. I'm not loving where we're at in this game, though. We're pretty dead to Ugin. We'll see what our opponent's payoff is in this deck. We're not dead to this Ugin. Pretty punished for discarding 2nd VV, though. Potentially my bad. Do they have another? Okay, so they get to discard Gran-Gran now? Oh, interesting. They go after an Otter. I probably would have gone after Gran-Gran. Do they have a... Oh, they just have another colorless spell. Yeah, very punished for discarding the 2nd VV. That's my bad. We would be... All right, we find another land. Gran-Gran is not turned on, but we can turn Gran-Gran on here. So make a blue. Yeah, discard this abandon attachments. Gran-Gran is activated. Play Cryogen Relic. And let's draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Draw 5. Drawing 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Notably, we have a land this turn. All right, we find a Mox Amber. Wow, no VV is not great. So now we have a 2nd paradoxical outcome, but we need to find a VV before we cast that one because that is our last paradoxical outcome. So let's go Mamber and Cryogen Relic. Draw a card. What does this do? Just add... Okay. So this doesn't kill us next turn. Yeah, let's just return this Cryogen Relic. All right, we get to this town. All right, we've played a land this turn. Play Storm Chasers. Play Springleaf Drum. Make a blue. We're just going to play all our Storm Chasers out here. And cast this Springleaf Drum. Play another Storm Chasers. This makes it so they have to... I mean, if they have the other Ugin, the 8-mana Ugin, we're dead, but... Shivan Reef, Spirebluff Canal, Spirebluff Canal. Yeah, big mistake for me this game for not discarding, or for discarding that 2nd VV. Do they find 8 mana Ugin? All right, they find a Kozilek's Return, but not great for us, but it doesn't just beat us. All right, they get a World Breaker. They can discard. They can get all our Storm Chasers. Again, we're another VV just wins us this game. That's all we're looking for right now. Next turn, we can cast these Cryogen Relics, draw 2, and then this town them to draw 2 more. All right, they wipe the board again. All right, no land. Play a Cryogen Relic. Play a Cryogen Relic. Find a Mox Amber. Return. Yeah, this is... We are just drawing nothing. Okay. Brutal. Next turn we can start by drawing 3, but this turn we just have to pass and discard a land. Oh, we have to discard 2. All right, discard 2 lands. Opponent just finds a land. We take 5. They're... Okay, so we have to win next turn. We get to start the turn off by drawing 3. That's good for our chances of winning next turn. All right, they draw a card here. They're out of stuff to exile, so we take 5. Do they have anything else? All right, they just... Okay, we find Vivi. Thank goodness. All right, make a blue. Immediately tap this before they have priority. So that way if they do have some random removal spell, we have our mana ready to go. And let's just get our triggers now with these Mox Ambers. All right, opponent's thinking... Okay, they have a Kozilek's Return to exile Vivi. So now we can... This town ain't big enough. Return Vivi plus... Springleaf. So, okay, we have another Mox Amber on the stack. So we can return... I guess just Cryogen Relic. We could return this Mox Amber. We have 3 lands. I don't think we've played a land this turn. So we draw cards here. Honestly, getting the extra trigger with Mox Amber seems good to me here. All right. Protect our Vivi. Love that we're able to do that. All right. They wipe the board again. Vivi does damage to them. Mox Amber resolves. We cast Vivi again. And again, same thing. Float this mana here before they have a chance to get priority. Recast these Mox. Do they have another instant speed colorless spell? They do not. All right, we win. And play a land. Should have played that first. Float a blue. Play our 3rd Mox Amber. Trigger Vivi again. Really just looking for a Gran-Gran here to go absolutely nuts. So let's cast this Accumulate Wisdom. All right, we find the Gran-Gran. So now we can cast Gran-Gran and go Cryogen Relic for 1, mana neutral, with the Vivi into play. We don't draw anything else. So now, actually, not the greatest Vivi turn. Return all of these. Draw 7 cards. Boomerang Basics should... So we have to cast 12 more spells this turn. Are all of our... All right. Cast Springleaf Drum. Make a blue, tap Gran-Gran. Draw and discard a land. So we have another Gran-Gran. That's another mana off the Springleaf Drum. Let's go... Cast a Springleaf Drum. Trigger VV again. So that lets us... Now we can cast this Gran-Gran. And this is mana neutral. Keep the new one. Make another blue. How many... Do we have another Paradoxical outcome? No, we're out of Paradoxical outcomes. Okay, discard a land. And make a blue here. Go Boomerang Basics on the Mox Amber. All right, trigger here. Play the Mox Amber again. Trigger VV. Go Accumulate Wisdom, draw 3. We have another Accumulate Wisdom, notably. So we need 6 more spells. We might not have enough here, actually. So we go another Accumulate Wisdom. All right, we find a Springleaf Drum. We find it. Okay, I think this town should get us the win here. So this puts them to 4. And now we can... Storm Chasers is mana neutral with this Springleaf Drum in play. And then we can return Mox Amber. Okay, all right. We got there. What a turn. Fighting through the instant speed removal spell on our VV2. All right. Tap this for blue. Now we can this town return Mox Amber plus Springleaf Drum. Do we have another creature? We don't have another creature for if we return Springleaf Drum, but it's 0 mana. Sorry, so this puts them to 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so they're dead. Three. Return Mox Amber plus Storm Chasers. Oh, whoa. All right, cast Mox Amber. Put them to 2. Let's go. What a turn. Wow. That was... They gained so much life that game. They started the turn at 19, and Vivi didn't get to attack. Let's go. What a crazy turn. All right, against Tron, Alpine Moon doesn't do anything against the Pioneer variant of Tron. Honestly, Spell Pierce, probably not needed. They have the 4-mana ramp spell, but I don't think we want to be leaving up Spell Pierce in this matchup. Let's just click Submit. I like where our main deck's at. They don't have a lot of great interaction for us, at least in the main deck. Man, what a crazy game. We fought through the new 7-mana Ugin. They exiled a lot of our stuff, and we played right through. That turn where they exiled all our Storm Chasers, we could have went wild with the Paradoxical outcome that turn. I think for our opponent's deck, it's a big question to ask why you would run that 7-mana Ugin over Ugin the Spirit Dragon, though. Ugin the Spirit Dragon wins the game. They're no problem from their point of view. So definitely a question to ask if you are on a ramp deck is what payoff do you want to be running? Let's keep this. It's a little slow, but has a lot of potential. Finding another Accumulate Wisdom is nice here. Let's get this Springleaf Drum down. This a Gran-Gran can immediately be tapped. They have a hidden grotto. All right, they surveil. They send a 7-mana Ugin to the graveyard. They find a Damping Sphere. We don't care too much about that. We can just answer it on the turn that we decide to go off. Let's pass. Let's abandon Attachments a land here. I have a second Damping Sphere. That's not... I'm less happy to see that. All right, finding that this town is nice. Let's go Steam Vents tapped and pass. Fire off and accumulate Wisdom. Our opponent's not doing much either. Or they play Maze Mind Tome, that's fine. We can just set up to combo. Oh, this is tough. Oh, this is really tough. Vivi's our combo card, obviously. This is drawing 3 cards, and what's better than drawing 3 cards? I think we have to take the Vivi here. Oh, man, but drawing 3... Actually, let's take the draw 3 here. It's very close. This can find us another Vivi. And with the double Damping Sphere, I think we do need the cards to dig out from the card disadvantage of Boomerang Basics plus this town. Let's go... Steam Vents. What are we doing here? Are we just boomeranging this Springleaf Drum? Get 3 and then... Yeah, I like that. So Boomerang Basics this Springleaf Drum, draw a card. All right, find a Mamber. We can just go Spire Bluff Canal here and then play and accumulate Wisdom on their turn. All right, they play a Hamlet. This doesn't do anything for them. Not sure what they're scared of and why they're running this card. They name Hall of the Storm Giants. Again, there's nothing they can name in our deck that does anything here. Let's draw 3. All right. We are good on red mana now. So we'll have to discard 3 cards, 2 cards. So we can go get a Storm Chasers down. Alternatively, we can just discard land. We're nowhere close to comboing, though, without a VV. So let's go Storm Chasers. Cast a 2-mana Moxie. Wow, what a sad. Cast a 2-mana Mox Amber. And then we're going to draw 3 on their turn again. They can draw another card off the Maze Mind Tome. Oh, they just make a treasure. That's fine. We're going to look to combo on not our next turn, but the following turn. See what they have here. Looks like they put... Okay, just a Migration Path. And that is their spell for the turn. And they pass. We'll draw 3 again. All right. So our plan this turn is to cast the This Town Ain't Big Enough on their 2 Damping Spheres. So with that being said, we can cast a 1 mana spell this turn off of this Steam Vents. We can play this River Glide Pathway. So we cast our 1 Storm Chaser's talent. Do we have triple lesson? Yeah, we have triple lesson. So we don't have to play these Springleaf Drums early, because if we draw a Gran-Gran, then there's 0 mana. So yeah, we can play 1 Storm Chaser's talent. We'll discard one of these 2 Spire Bluff Canals for turn. Attack for 2. Yeah. Pass the turn. Discard a Spire Bluff Canal. And we'll see. All right, they can name, again, whatever they want here. There's nothing in our deck that they can name with this. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. Trying to dodge. All right, is that even? So we can. They just. All right, they have. All right, that's super beatable. We will go to their end step so they can't cast anything. Return these 2 Damping Spheres. And we're not in a great position to combo, but we have a lot of great draws. Oh my god. I lied. We're in a great position to combo. Cast Vivi. Make a blue. Play a Mox Amber. Oh, do they have a way to kill our Vivi? Okay. They have a Warping Whale. Do we have a way to stop this? We abandon attachments. If we draw another instant, I believe this will fizzle. All right, trigger our Prowess guys. Resolve this. Discard Spire Bluff Canal. Oh, we find another Vivi. Make a blue. Thank you for your service, first Vivi. All right. Mox Amber resolves. Keep the new Mox Amber. All right, that does slow us down quite a bit. Would have loved to find a Gran-Gran there. So we play a land. We play second Vivi. We have Mox Amber mana plus Springleaf Drum mana. Alternatively, we just level up Storm Chaser's talent, get back this town ain't big enough. Or maybe level it up, get back Accumulated Wisdom. So they're going to play double Damping Sphere next turn. So if we don't cast the Vivi, so they play Damping Sphere the second. Actually, so let's go Vivi and just make him as big as we can this turn. Dodge. This gets it out of the way of Warping Whale. Does that have Death Touch? No, but play this. Our Vivi is now unwarping whaleable. We can level up our Storm Chaser's talent, get this town ain't big enough back. And that way we have our answer to double Damping Sphere. Sire of the Seven Depths is annoying. And having Vigilance is not my favorite thing in the world. All right, opponent draws. Let's see if they have a way to answer second Vivi. They have a way to answer second Vivi. All right, likely settling this one in game 3. And yeah, they get to go play Damping Sphere, exile. They can only exile one of our Storm Chasers. We'll play this out. We're not just dead. Oh. Oh, that's really good. All right. Now we might be. Now we might be dead. All right, they go after the wrong Storm Chasers, which is good for us. Gran-Gran would be good off the top. Steam Vents is not what we wanted. So we have to level this up. This is going to have to be an insane accumulated wisdom. I don't think that counts as an insane accumulated wisdom. We're not just dead. So we can go Steam Vents untapped, wait for them to cast a Damping Sphere, and then return Storm Chasers, return Sire, go to 4. All right. I don't love it, but... Or sorry, go to 2 because we have to play the Steam Vents untapped. I don't love where we're at, but we're technically alive for another turn. Opponent scries to the bottom. We do like to see that. All right. They are done with this Maze Mind Tome. We want to see another scry to the bottom here. They go 1 to the bottom. All right, that's a start for us. They gain 3 life, draw a card. Play a land, surveil 1. We'll go to 2. We would have to have a crazy turn to do 35. All right, so they're going after our Storm Chaser's talent. So now we... This town, return Storm Chaser's talent, return... Ugin? Can they recast it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, but they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They can't recast it because of the Damping Sphere now. That's probably better than a random Springleaf Drum. Does this have trample? It does. All right. Probably does not matter. All right, they play a Candy Trail, and now they replay their 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, they go 1 top, 1 bottom, play their second Damping Sphere, and... Okay. Okay, we can't play this untapped. Basically every turn, every winning line here starts with 5 mana, return both these Damping Spheres. I'm not sure what the plan is after we do this. Let's go abandon attachments, discard... This. We need a Gran-Gran. We don't find a Gran-Gran. I think we're dead. We're dead. All right. Game 3. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. I forgot that we didn't sideboard. We should have brought in a Braid. I'm sorry, guys. I was doing the Doctor Strange things still from that last game, going like trying to calculate how we could win that game, but it did not work out. Notably, we have 12 minutes left on the clock. shouldn't be a problem. I think on the play and like any Gran-Gran into VV hand should be really good for us. We want to see Gran-Gran on the play against this deck. It's pretty hard for them to kill her. And if she does eat a removal spell, the odds of our VV living is a lot higher. Pretty big punt by not bringing in the Abrades there. I just was not thinking. All right, opponent did make some changes after sideboarding. Not sure what that means. Maybe they have some graveyard hate that they brought in. Right, we're on the play. No Gran-Gran, but this is a solid hand. We'll keep. We have a way to deal with a Damping Sphere. And I like that this does have an Otter on turn 1. This guy likely can get in quite a few times and keep their life total a little bit more in check. All right, 2 to the bottom. We'd love to see that. Let's just get this Cryogen Relic down. This gives us a great target for our... This town ain't big enough, and we didn't have anything that we really wanted to discard to abandon attachments yet, so... The opponent mills a Mirex. Interesting. All right, I think this turn we go, this town ain't big enough, return Relic plus Storm Chasers, make another Otter. That puts quite a bit of pressure on them, so let's check that we're not discarding. We go to 5, we go to 4, draw a card. Yeah, so we're good to do this. Trigger Prowess twice, we'll get in for 3. They're thinking, not sure what they could have here. They have nothing. And play second Storm Chasers. Trigger this Otter again, get in for 3. And make another Prowess Boy. Alright, are they just on draw a card, gain 3? That is beatable. So what their turn 3 is, would like to dodge a... Alright, Kozilek's Return, that's pretty good for them here. Alright, we draw the Gran-Gran. Let's just keep developing our board. We're pretty safe to discard a land here. Alright. Let's go land, Mamber, Relic. All right, second Gran-Gran's pretty nice here. If they have a way to kill this one. We are starting to flood a little bit. Opponent is still at 18. See what they have. All right, Warping Will on Gran-Gran. We're fine seeing that here. They have the Damping Sphere. We don't love that as much. Okay. So this turn, I think we will just play Gran-Gran and get some card advantage going. So play our Gran-Gran here. 2 mana, draw 2. All right, another Boomerang Basics is... Oh, and an Accumulate Wisdom. So we can't play anything this turn, so we'll play a tapped Spire Bluff Canal. Next turn we can attack to get a 3rd Lesson into the graveyard. Would love to see them tap out for ramp here and not interact with us again. All right, they surveil land. Come on, opponent. Just play Migration Path and pass. All right, they play Hedron Archive. Man, if they have another Damping Sphere. All right, Sam's Curiosity. That's fine. Oh, yeah, I forgot we can do this. So let's... Accumulate Wisdom on their turn. Turn Gran-Gran. Oh, we find a VV. All right. We're in business. We'll take the best card in our deck. We draw another Gran-Gran. Play VV. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. I forgot that the Damping Sphere was still in play. Whoa, all right. Slow my roll down a little bit. Return this Damping Sphere to their hand. Forgot that they still had that. Let's 1 mana draw 3. All right, we find another Mox Amber. Let's cast this Cryogen Relic first, see what we find. Finding Land Amber off that wasn't great. All right, we find this town. This town is 1 mana. Let's pick up Mox Amber plus Cryogen Relic, because that nets us another mana. Draw a card. Oh, sorry. Replay Mox Amber. Just trying to get this as big as possible before we tap it for mana. Play this relic, see what we find. Find another relic. So we will cast this second Mox Amber. Cast this Cryogen Relic. We're now at a spot that Paradoxical Outcome just wins the game for us. Let's cast this Springleaf Drum. We don't have any way to give haste in our deck, so we can tap Vivi here. And now we level up, get no Paradoxical Outcomes yet. So let's make 9 blue. They concede. Okay, let's go. We are against, I'm assuming this is a Final Fantasy character, Boroska. All right, we're on the play. On the play with one of my favorite starts on this deck. Gran-Gran, Mamber, Storm Chasers. Pass. All right, we are against Golgari for this match. To attack with Gran-Gran, we're a little VV plus land flooded. I don't really want to discard a second VV in this matchup, though. Wow, this is actually a little bit tough here. So we play Steam Vents. So we go this town, return Mamber, return Storm Chasers, play Steam Vents tap. That plays around Thoughtseize pretty well, because then we have these in our hand and we have double VV then. So yeah, let's return Mamber, Storm Chasers. And this gives us a lot of... Oh, so do we Actually, let's replay the Storm Chasers this turn. So let's go Steam Vents, untapped, play Storm Chasers, and leave this Mox Amber in our hand for a VV trigger next turn and a Prowess trigger next turn. All right. What am I thinking? We don't have a third land. Sorry. Let's go... Honestly, let's just get another Storm Chasers down. Attack for 6 this turn. Cast this Mox Amber. We will discard a second VV. All right. Oh, Abrupt Decay on Gran-Gran's totally fine. Get in for 6. All right, they have an Unholy Annex. That's pretty brave when you're facing down triple Otter. Unfortunately, we don't find a non-creature spell. We get another Gran-Gran. We just get in for 3 here. Are they on main deck Culling Ritual still? I haven't seen a main deck Culling Ritual out of this deck in a while. All right, just a Sentinel of the Nameless City. That's beatable. I have a Fatal Push for Gran-Gran. Don't love that. Sokka's Boomerang is what we want here. Abandon Attachments. Not great, but it is a castable spell. Discard a VV. Okay, I think that does it. Yeah. Cast second Mox Amber, they can block 1, take damage from 2. All right, well, not the way that we're usually trying to win in this matchup, but I'll take it. Against Golgari, I've been liking Broadside Barrage, and it kills basically all the creatures and planeswalkers that are annoying for us. Going down a Mox Amber, 1 Springleaf Drum. Abandon attachments, potentially. Go down some of the... Again, I like to reiterate this. Against these matchups that are super grindy, we like our mana cards, but we don't want to have too many of them because we can just lose if we draw double Mox Amber against a deck like this. Wow, opponent snap keeps and doesn't have a Thoughtseize. Usually when our Golgari opponents snap keep it, we're getting Thoughtseized. All right, we have a slower hand this game, but we're keeping based on the strength of this paradoxical outcome. And opponent is on a 2-lander. So I don't love just slamming this Vivi into an Abrupt Decay, but we have second Vivi, and this doesn't die to Fatal Push. Let's see. See if they have it. They have it. We'll see if they have a second one next turn. All right, do they have second Abrupt Decay? They need second Abrupt Decay here. I think we can win this turn. Looks like they have it. Oh, they have Terra Sunder. That's really good. Okay. Did not play around Terra Sunder very well. We do get to draw 2 here. And we've already played a land this turn. Tap our Vivi for 2 mana. Pass. We need to dodge removal spell. All right, we can beat Badgermole Cub. All right, we should be winning this turn. So we go... Well, we need another Mox Amber. Cast Cryogen Relic. Draw a card. This gets us our 3rd lesson for Accumulate Wisdom. We are having a little bit of trouble finding another Mox Amber here. All right, so this we can go cast Cryogen Relic, draw a card. This makes 6 mana. And then Paradoxical Outcome. Draw 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we hit any... sorry, let's make sure Vivi's tapping the right way. Once you're comboing, you just want all blue mana. Draw 4 here. Not the craziest paradoxical outcome. Draw 2 more. And just no free mana. Okay. Yeah, I really wanted to find a Mox Amber this turn. We have another Vivi. All right, let's cast this Accumulate Wisdom. Do we find any... No free mana. Okay. We'll attack for 8. Opponent goes to 3. And we have to discard 1. We'll keep 1 land in hand. 3, 4... 5, 6. We can discard 3rd Paradoxical Outcome. All right, well, even if Vivi dies, we have a second Vivi, so the odds that we win next turn are pretty high anyway. But crazy, we didn't find any of our artifacts, and we win. Let's go. All right, 4-1 on the day with this Vivi deck. Paradoxical Gran-Gran is what I've been calling it.